This is the Chester County Real Estate Podcast, bringing you the info you need to make your next move a great one.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Chester County Real Estate Podcast. This is the show that gives you all the information you need to make your next move a great one. I'm your host, Sean Dominski, and today I'm sitting down with Daniel from FOWARD Moving.
Yep.
We're going to be talking a little bit about the moving process and kind of the things that stresses people out and ways that you can avoid it and different tips and tricks that people can do to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
But Daniel, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
First time, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you here. So tell us a little bit about you guys, what you do, and then maybe a little bit about how you got into this industry.
Yeah, good question. I mean, not a lot of people wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, I can't wait to be a mover when I grow up," right? But yeah, a little bit of backstory. So I worked labor jobs growing up, and I enjoyed using my hands, being active. But when I was growing up, it was like, yeah, you got to go to college, right? You got to go to college. That was just the thing back then. That's changing now a lot. But anyways, so I went to college, went to Penn State, graduated. After I went to Penn State, I worked at an accounting firm, marketing, selling marketing packages, like collection packages, anything that for this accounting firm. Very corporate-like atmosphere. Really didn't like it, you know, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about insurance, sales, business. But then I left there and I was like, I want to use my degree, right? Like my business degree. And so essentially I went out and I got a job at a moving company, and they were hiring for like management, and I learned the business like inside and out. And I worked there for a couple years, and met some really great people there, and I enjoyed the industry, the challenges of the industry, and most people are like crazy, like how could you like moving? But there's a lot more to it. It's a customer service atmosphere. It's a customer service centric industry, and so I left there. And why do you start a business? Because you think you can do it better than somebody else, right? Or
it's funny because I was just about to ask that. I have a theory that any business owner, there's two reasons why people become business owners. It's because they had no other option, like their options were limited, or they saw a need in the market and really felt obligated to fill it. They saw a need not being filled. So when in my head I'm like, okay, during your time there must have been things that you were seeing where you were like, oh man, I could totally, if I did this a little bit differently, if they changed that, and usually I would assume it's because like, it'd be so much better for the customer, and then after a while you're like, well, I got to do my own thing then.
And it is about the customer and also like the processes of business, right? And I'm big into like building that business. We've constantly been growing since we started, and it's all about systems and processes over the people. Now we have a good culture, we have great people, but I'm like, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, right? So, and I'm always thinking of different ways. But just quick background is me and a guy left there, and we started the business, and we scaled it up over the years. We started in 2017. We were initially doing side jobs, right? Just on the side, and getting great feedback from customers. And then what we did was we went legit. We got fully insured. We got our tax ID number. We grew it little by little, and we invested right back into the business, right? And then since then, we've added a truck a year, and we've added employees over the last 5 years. We're up to 20 employees now. So, and we have 7 trucks.
So was it always you bringing, like, managing crews, or was it you literally carrying boxes onto the truck?
I've done everything at the company. So in the beginning, I was doing the moving and hiring help and training them. And then now I haven't done moving in probably about a year now. And so we've got operations managers, a sales team, a sales department, and I've done every job at FOWARD Moving and just kind of scaled it up like I was talking about with the systems, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I got a business partner, shout out to Kevin. He's at a marketing event right now out in Lancaster, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's just been quite the journey, quite the challenge. And, when you're working for somebody else, you're definitely seeing things that maybe I could do better, but you don't realize how difficult that is until you're the one doing it, right? And so every day I'm learning new things about business. And but as far as it relates to, you know, moving, and my passion is in business, but it's also customer service. Like, and if somebody needs to move within Chester County, right, we want to provide the best service we possibly can. And I think us being like a smaller, still kind of boutique-ish company, we're independent, so we're not answering to any corporate. We can focus on the quality of our work, right? And and try to create a stress-free move. And like you were talking about earlier, like, I don't know the exact statistics, but it's got to be up there with one of the most stressful things in life, depending on how big your move is, right? And if you're downsizing, upsizing, whatever it is, you know, it's something that there's something about people when they have to move that they just, certain people can handle it better than others. They procrastinate, right? And they just, like, you know, they get overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the last time I moved personally was probably 7 years ago or so. And I remember thinking, like, I really hope I don't ever have to move again. Like, after you're done that move, it's just like, I want this to be the last one. Now, down the road, that wears off and you're like, all right, I can do this. It's, you know, it's going to be worth it. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, not only is it emotionally tough, but it's just that idea, like, I'm just, you know, you're like, oh, what do I pack? What do I not pack? I'm staying here. Like, when do I start packing? What do I pack first? What do I pack last? Or just that process of just going through stuff and be like, okay, what do I have to get rid of? And I don't know if most people feel this way, but that's also emotionally taxing. Like, getting rid of stuff, like, sometimes it feels great to get rid of stuff. Other times it's kind of hard, you know,
it's hard to make the decision.
Decisions take energy, and that's like just a string of like tons of every item is another decision, and it can be tiring.
A lot of it has sentimental value, right? It's things that you may not even remember that you still have, but then you open it up and you're like, I'm still attached to this in a way. I don't want to get rid of it. This was my grandfather's, or this was that, you know? But it's like, at the end of the day, if you're paying for us to move stuff and then you're not going to use it, or it's just going to sit in storage and you're paying for storage, like, you might want to reconsider, right? And that's not necessarily sentimental stuff. I'm just talking about, like, things that you have in your house. And one thing I can advise against, you know, a bad practice that I see all the time is we'll come in, you know, people haven't, like, decluttered or had somebody in there to help them remove things that they haven't used in a while. We end up moving it, and they're paying us to move it, and then when we get there, they're like, oh, I forgot I had that, I didn't need that. You should do that before you move, right? And then and also, you know, start packing as soon as you possibly can. If you know you're moving, these are the tips that I would advise you to do. Like, you know, you have settlement coming up. As soon as you know, you want to hire a mover. Movers have what's called a peak season, so that's like, it's a seasonal business for the most part.
Just like most things in real estate.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in the Northeast, right? Yeah. So basically from April till about September, I mean, actually the last couple of years it's been extended because it's been a crazy market, as you know.
Oh yeah. Well, the market itself, for a while, it was funny because, like, it's supposed to go up and down. You got your spring season down in the summer, up in the fall, down the winter, but you would just see it just go straight through.
And along those lines, when COVID first hit, we thought we were, like, doomed. We were like, oh man, this is terrible for every type of business there is. But then we got deemed essential, and it ended up being great for our business. It ended up being great for the real estate market, right? The realtors were crazy busy. I feel like people were just, like, trying to get settled, and they were frantically, like, you know, elderly population was like, I got to get situated. You know, people were scared, right? And so we were crazy busy, and we had to be super careful with the protocols and the masks, and just the oversight of that was very stressful. But it was a good time for our industry, you know, us and
it was nice. Real estate. There's also I felt like there was a good amount of grace then too, whereas later on, when things got really hot, it got, like, really competitive, and people were just making crazy decisions. And during COVID and more along that time, people were making crazy decisions, but it was like everyone was being kind of cautious. It wasn't like people weren't necessarily being irresponsible with their decisions and
but
stuff
houses
like that.
were going, hundreds of thousands over asking. They were
Right.
getting 20 offers on a house, and so people
And it still is that way.
Yeah.
The overall volume has come down.
Yeah.
But prices are still very similar.
Yeah.
And for something that's priced right, there's still a ton of buyers out there for those places.
It enabled us to really grow our business pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and invest in equipment and more employees, and it turned out to be really good for us. I'll just say, I think it's leveling out a little more. I mean, we'll see what this upcoming season brings, but our season didn't start as early. I mean, we're moving year round, but we bring in a lot of college kids to help us out, and we train them up, but our season right now is just getting ramped up, whereas last year it was like February, March, April. Now it's like April, May, June, and we're seeing. And to get back to what I was saying is like a moving tip. So if you have a settlement date that is approaching, that peak season, you want to hire your mover as soon as and get those dates on and get the deposit in so they can reserve the truck, the crew for you, because the last thing you want to do is wait too long and then you're in a jam, right? Because everyone's booked up. So that's one thing you want to do. The other thing was declutter your house, go through, remove the items that you're not going to want anymore. And sometimes you don't know yet until you move, right? Like what's going to fit where. But if there's those items, like definitely want to get rid of those.
Right.
And then consider like what kind of mover and move you want. Do you want a full service move, right? Do you want a partial move where, you might pack your own clothing, dishes, things like that, and then we come in and we're going to move all the large furniture items and the pre-packed boxes for you? Or do you want a full service move? I don't want to do anything, maybe I got a lot more for my house than I wanted to, so therefore I got a little extra disposable income. And
let me ask you a question. You're a young guy, but it looks like you remember life before the internet. So like when you talk about these things that you're not quite sure if you're gonna like move or not, like I keep going back to that box of CDs I have in my basement.
Yeah.
Do you have a box of CDs in your basement?
I have DVDs.
Or the DVDs.
I do have maybe a few CDs left, but I uploaded all mine into MP3 player. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah. Back like before the iPod or
when Napster was around, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
and then you kind of purge your CDs. See, I still have a box of CDs, and I'm like, I think it's literally still in the box from when I moved. Yeah. And I can't even tell you the last time I put a CD in, and DVDs as well. I mean, there's some great I have some great movies on DVD. Yeah. I can't tell you the last time I put a DVD. I do have a DVD player. Yeah. But I would be shocked if
the world's different,
people
man.
do.
It's just like it's obsolete now. It's antiquated. Like I would say.
So you got people our age who are like, oh, I'm hanging on to I got to hang on to all my stuff, all the stuff that I accumulated. And that's just one example. But like, and I get it if people are sensitive and they don't want to get rid of their media because, everyone got rid of their tapes and then all the hipsters started walking around with Walkman, which was like, okay. And then like vinyls, don't throw, not saying you should throw all that away, but it's funny how like you have this stuff and you're like, man, I haven't touched this stuff in so long.
It depends what you're into. If you're like looking at it as a collection, then of course you want to save that, you know what I mean? But I mean, I see people that have like tools that are dusty that they haven't used and they're never going to use, and they just have this like mind block that they can't get rid of something like that. That might be a bad example, but and then you have
that's a good example, because like tools to people, to other people, it might be like musical instruments. Yeah, where it's like you don't use that. Yeah, sell it or donate it, and they're like, well, no, that's my tools. Yeah, it's like, all right, well,
I can tell you, Facebook Marketplace is a great way. Or give that thing a new life, like donate it. We're big into that, and like we'll come out to your house prior to your move and get anything that you want to donate or remove. I mean, we're not a junk removal company, but we do like any furniture removal. We're not going to do hazardous material, construction debris, or like anything like that. But we'll do like any like that old table you don't want anymore, it's not going to fit in your new house. We'll come out, we'll try to give it a new life, donate it to Community Warehouse Project. So yeah, that's one thing you want to do. The other thing is if you have settlement, and we were talking about this before, but we offer like a storage in transit.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a settlement date, you need to be out of your old house, and you can't get in your new house for, let's say, a week or two, right? Mm-hmm. We'll come out, we'll load everything, we'll pad, wrap, and protect all your items. We'll come out, we'll load it, we'll bring it back to our warehouse, we'll put it in our warehouse, securely store it, and then when you're ready to move into the new home, we'll bring it out. Mm-hmm. That's different than like a self-storage where you're going to rent a U-Haul, go shove everything into self-storage, and then you can access it. Ours is more like in transit, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to book that ahead of time as well, right? There's only a limited amount of storage space, which I would love to hear about commercial real estate. Yeah. And I know this is more geared toward residential, but if you ever have somebody on here that could talk about some commercial real estate, because we're, in Chester County, it's very interesting. It's not like Lancaster County or Philadelphia or Delco. There's like a lack of warehouse space in this area. So it causes the storage. I mean, there's a lot of self-storage, but it causes like corporate storage like we're into to be, in high demand and low inventory. So,
right. Well, with that, do you have like a radius that you work in? Because it sounds like if you're moving people to anywhere, you can move them from anywhere. So are you mainly focused on Chester County, or is it surrounding counties? If you are doing stuff in transit, will people's stuff be somewhat local, or will you ship it out kind of far?
Great question. Yeah. So basically all our jobs, our origin is in the Philadelphia area. So really west of Philadelphia is what we're focusing on. We don't do a lot of work in Philadelphia, but Chester County is our main service area. It's where we're located. I'm born and raised here. I have a passion for Chester County, but we'll do Berks County, Montgomery County, some Delaware County, Lancaster County, but we call that origin. So we could start a job in that area, and then we can go anywhere from there. But we're not going to start a job, let's say, in North Carolina and end in North Carolina. It's not our service area.
That makes sense.
I mean, basically we can go anywhere. We're licensed to go anywhere in the intercontinental U.S., but typically, since we're an independent, smaller company, we're not tied into like a big logistical network, we're going up and down the East Coast mainly. We do a lot of jobs to Florida. And the Carolinas have been hot. Like, we've been moving a lot of people there. I don't know exactly why that is. It just seems like a lot of people are heading south, retirees. Believe it or not, Lancaster County is a huge retirement place now.
I've heard that, yeah.
And we move a lot of people.
I mean, it feels that way when you're driving around, but I don't want to be too...
There's no beach nearby, and there's horse and buggies, but I was surprised by that. Like, it's a major retirement community or town or city now.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of moves out there. And, we're starting our jobs here, going anywhere you want. And so what we would do, let's say you have a house in Chester County, you're selling it, okay, and you want to move to Tennessee, okay? We're going to come out, we're going to load everything on the truck, pad it up, protect it, bring it back to the warehouse, which is right here in Chester County. We're going to unload it into our vaults. It's just basically like a pod, if you know what a pod is. Yeah. And then as soon as...
Kind of like a container?
Yeah.
Like a small
big shipping container.
Big one, or like a smaller
a 16-foot or...
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or they have 8-foot ones that we have.
Yeah.
But we're going to unload it, and then when you're ready... And this is a lot of times set up ahead of time. Like, I know I'm moving out on, let's say, May 12th, and I need to move to Tennessee on June 15th. So the whole job is quoted out, right? We come out, we do a walkthrough of the home, we inventory everything that you need to move, and so when your settlement, when it's time to move out, we're coming out, we're bringing it back here, and then we're taking it to Tennessee, we're unloading it at your new home in Tennessee, whether it's an apartment, townhome, whatever it is, and we're staging it, building the bed, putting everything in place so it's livable when we leave.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the other thing too, I mean, obviously there's that benefit of not having to do the work, the literal backbreaking work.
Yeah.
But also you talk about padding it and stuff like that. Do you? I mean, I'm sure you're not there if they're not hiring a mover. But I'm thinking about all the things that probably, if someone's moving themselves, they don't have the experience and know-how on how to protect everything. So there's probably a huge element.
Equipment.
Yeah. There's probably a huge element of protecting from damage
Yeah.
in the move
Yeah.
when you're working with people who have the equipment, have the
Yeah.
padding, have the
Yeah.
know what everything is.
Yeah.
Even like I've looked at different like foam like carriers and stuff, and I was like, I was just throwing that in a box.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that. My favorite line now is, we were talking about this before, but like we're in our 30s, right?
Yeah.
Going on 40, and we don't want to do this anymore. Your friends don't want to slip a disc for pizza and beer anymore, right? That's my line. But basically, we're coming out. We're considered like a white glove service, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not the guys on Craigslist that you're hiring. We're coming out, and we're bringing our equipment. We have equipment to move things like pianos, protect the floors. We're putting floor runners down, floor protection. And when I say pads, I'm talking about, it's kind of like mover lingo, but they're big quilted blankets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we throw them on wood items,
Mm-hmm.
and then we wrap it and saran wrap it. You can see it on our website. There's a 30-second clip of how we protect, like, this table here, we would put a blanket over it, wrap it up to protect it, because like wood on wood the saying is wood on wood isn't good, it'll scratch. So if it's on the truck bouncing around, it's going to scratch.
Yeah.
But so exactly. I mean, we're coming in to do like a professional job, and if you're hiring your buddies and you're getting a U-Haul, nobody has a dolly with them, right?
Right.
And you guys are just gonna maybe damage some stuff, hurt yourselves. It's not like you're in your 20s anymore. Like when I would never hire a mover in my 20s. When I'm moving like the stuff out of my college dorm room that is like an IKEA table, like why are you gonna hire a mover for that, right?
Right. And that stuff you can just kind of like throw on top and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But once you start kind of getting some nice things and some things that you are expecting to last a while, then you need to protect it.
Like, welcome to your 30s. I get excited about Dyson vacuums, right? And like we got this custom made table from an Amish company. Mm-hmm. Great table, and it was a pretty decent expense for us, right?
Right.
And so if I'm hiring a mover, I want to make sure that thing is taken care of, right? I don't want that thing just thrown on a truck. I mean, it's a newer table, and it's beautiful, well built, and so it really depends on the customer and what their needs are, and no two moves are the same, right? So everyone has different things, different circumstances, different. Some people want value, some people want it done right, just like any type of business, Mm-hmm. And how can that equate to like real estate? I mean, some people want maybe a home that fixer upper, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking to maybe get something that's a little lower cost, and a lower mortgage payment, and then they over time fix it up and add value to it so it appreciates, right? I guess it depends on where you are in your life for like what type of mover you might want to hire, right? So
that's awesome. All right, man. Well, I think that helps. What's the best way someone can get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, our website, forwardmovers.net, is great. And our phone, our website has all our information on it.
Okay.
So forwardmovers.net.
And make sure they book it early, early as possible.
Book it early.
And you'll come and you'll do the estimate and everything.
Yeah, like we're going to consult you on your move and help you and decide what your needs are and help you with what you need to be done in order to move properly and make it a smooth move. Right?
Awesome.
So and our motto is dedicated to moving the community forward. So we're out here. We take pride in what we do. We really want to help people do something they either can't or won't do for themselves, right? And that's why we're in business. And we hope to see people at like some of our community events. We're involved in the Exton Chamber now, and it's just been great, like networking. We're out there more doing networking stuff. Yeah, we're doing a food drive once a year. This will be our third one coming up. Oh, cool. And so, you'll see us around town. But if you want to get a hold of us, forwardmovers.net.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. This has been the Chester County Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by RE/MAX Ace Realty, serving buyers and sellers in the Chester County area. Subscribe for new episodes at acerealtypa.com/podcast. And you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever podcasts are found.